she come into your place, yo, you best not forget it. She gon' tell you how it is, cause she's Rick the Critic. When she all up in your city, yo, you best not forget it. Let you know if she like it, and if she get with it. Let the whole world know and be the first to admit it. Let you know if it's good and if she dig it, cause she's Rick the Critic. Rick the Critic, Rick the Critic, Rick the Critic. She the first to admit it if she can't dig it, cause she...
Hi. Great. I'm glad you're here. Rick the Critic, glad to see you and talk with you. Listen, we got an exciting show today. We're going to talk about the hospitals. We're going to talk about HMOs. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. So I hope you got all your little belongings, your sugar, your popcorn, all that kind of stuff, because we're going to talk a lot today about that. Listen, I had an experience to go to Huntington Hospital. It wasn't a good thing. It was an emergency. My daughter got sick, and because she was staying with me, Huntington Hospital was the hospital that we decided that we needed to go to because it was an emergency. Actually, the hospital before that had put a cast on her leg. The cast rubbed up against her foot, caused it to bleed, and that's how we got to Huntington. But let me share this with you because this was the interesting thing. When we arrived at Huntington, the emergency doctor immediately takes out this huge, the little saw thing, and he takes the cast off because the cast was put on is too tight, and they take the cast off. Now, while we're there, because the cast was on too tight, she got an infection, and so she had to stay there. So what we thought would be an in and out situation ended up turning into like 2 weeks. Now, this is the first time that I've had the opportunity to have any kind of dealings with Huntington Hospital because it's just, I don't go to the hospital. The other time that I had a chance to deal with Huntington Hospital was Jane Hatterline. She was the fundraiser there, and when I started to take the nonprofit courses and nonprofit management and fundraising, Jane Hatterline at Huntington Hospital was one of the ones that was one of our instructors, and she was excellent. I mean, just excellent. Anyway, I got a chance to see the hospital. Hospital was beautiful, and I hadn't been in there in years. Like I said, I think the last time I had to visit someone, it was years ago. But anyway, the hospital's beautiful. I mean, just a very serene place and just very comforting for a hospital. And they had a lot of nice things. Anyway, Ariel got there, and she was in her room, and they had a nice little, window. It wasn't, you could see outside, so that was a good thing. But the nurses there and the doctors there, it was just awesome. I mean, I have never, ever, and Ariel has been in and out of the hospital for many years because she was a diabetic at 10, and now she's, well, I don't want to say how old she is because then I'd be telling my age. But anyway, she's an adult. And she was, I mean, the level of care was just, I mean, I cannot say enough about Huntington Hospital. The doctors there was a Dr. Balikian, just an excellent, caring doctor, Dr. Raj, the kidney doctor. There were just a wonderful staff of doctors, even the emergency doctor, and all I can remember was Dr. David, who came in and cut the cast off. I mean, everyone was just excellent about speaking and talking and letting me know what was going on. I had an occasion to spend the night, 2 or 3 nights, because she was kind of in a rough place, and I didn't want her to be alone, so I spent the night there. And let me share something with you because, and I'm not saying that HMOs are not good for some, but let me tell you something. If your loved ones have a serious medical condition, the HMO is just not the way to go. Your level of care and the level of care that she received there and the level of care that she received at another hospital was just 2 entirely different things. Huntington Hospital was more interested in her well-being and getting her well and getting her out, not so much as just medicate. Now, George, who I take care of, When I go by his house, his home, I mean, just the stacks and stacks and stacks of medicine. I mean, it's just, he must take about 10 or 20 different pills. And what I realized, and this is no, you know what I'm saying, no, I'm not beating down the doctors, but I am telling it the way I see it. The way I see it is that the pharmacy comes to the doctor, they bring the medications there, the doctor takes the medications, the patient comes in and says, listen, I have a problem or whatever, and the doctor says, here, try this. Now, everyone is not a textbook character. I mean, you cannot prescribe for me the same thing that you would prescribe for someone else. I'm not a textbook. And my heart is different. I mean, everything is different. My weight, everything is different. So when the doctor prescribes, we'll just say Tylenol for you and whatever else they do, whatever other kind of medications they give, but you cannot give the one person the same medication. It just doesn't work. I mean, I see it, and I see that with the HMOs, I see where it's just, let's just medicate them, let's just make them comfortable, and let's just let them just, you know, let's just do the bill, let's just get the money. I said to one of the nurses, well, not nurses, but the administrator over at one of the hospitals, not at Huntington, but at another hospital, and she says, well, you know, we know your daughter, and she comes in, and we know what to do. And my take back on that was, yeah, you know what to do. What you do is you medicate her. She takes the pain medication. She sleeps all the time, and then that's just pretty much it. And that's pretty much the way it is in the whole hospital. I got a chance to walk around and look and observe, and pretty much the take on it is, let's give them some medication, let's let them just stay comfortable and go to sleep, and not even try to make them well. I mean, it's not the goal of the hospital or the doctor to make you well. The goal is to keep you coming back, and if you keep coming back, then they keep making money, they keep doing the things that they've been doing, whether it's taking care of their country house or their city house or their children's college fund or their daughter or son getting married, or all those things that go along with what is called life. And what's going to happen is the more money they make, you know, and they're pretty nervous right now. Now, I have a lot of friends that are doctors, so don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that doctors do not have a purpose, because they do. They've gone to school for medicine. They are practitioners, just like they say, they practice medicine. And I'm not saying anything about that, because what you wanted to go to school for and what I want to go to school for, you know what I'm saying, we may have to go to school for the same length of time just to get two different degrees. So it doesn't make you smarter. If I come to you and say to you, listen, this is happening with my body. This is happening with my body. I don't need the doctor to look in the textbook and say, okay, these symptoms right here, you know, are attached to this, because I'm not the textbook. I need a doctor when I come in to say, look, okay, sit down, Rick, let's go over this again. Have you done this, and run some tests and do some things, and then prescribe, you know, what they think is the best. I cannot imagine coming to the hospital in one day and seeing a person that has never seen me before just prescribe some medicine to me and not know exactly, just because my symptoms kind of are similar to yours does not mean that we have the same disease or the same problem. So this hospital thing with my daughter had me opening my eyes and really looking at health care a lot differently than I've ever looked at it before. I'm one that I just really just don't believe in doctors. If something is wrong, I call my grandmother, and she's 100 years old, and I'm pretty sure if you live to be 100, you know a lot more than a practitioner. So I generally call my grandmother. Well, she's not with us anymore. She died at 100. But um, my point is that uh, the hospital stay at Huntington with my daughter, I I got a chance to see doctors in a different operation. I got a chance to see them, and it was interesting because one of the doctors was talking about the pain medication, and I don't know if it's because of Conrad Murray that doctors are a little standoffish about pain medication, or if they just don't care, or I don't know. I really cannot say. But what I observed there was, and because I was very, very, very strong about, no pain medication, very little pain medication. They definitely adhered to my wishes. And we were conversing, and we always were engaging when it came to Ariel's care. And for that, I'm grateful. So, again, I'm saying all of this to say this. If you have loved ones that are in the hospital, if you have loved ones that are on HMOs, you're just going to have to do the extra step with them when they go to the hospital, especially your parents, your children. You're going to even if they're adults, you're going to have to go and you're going to have to sit down and have some conversations. I've been in some hospitals with my children, and doctors. I'm a doctor. It's like, big deal. You're a doctor. You know, the point is that I know my body better than anyone, better than anyone. And I'm able to tell you some things that will help you help me. So I need for you to listen. I don't need for you to come on like you're God and you're the fix all be all. I don't need that. And so I want to make you guys understand that because they're doctors does not mean that they know everything. So when your children and your parents or your loved ones say to you, listen, this is hurting, that's hurting, listen to what they're saying. And when you're sitting there with the doctor, you know what I'm saying? Don't be afraid to say, listen, this situation may be textbook for them, but I think that we might go a little bit deeper or do something a little more because this is just not a textbook situation. We're going to go to commercial. Get your stuff, come back. We got plenty more to talk about.
It is about balancing our choices between the gray of the concrete jungle and the stunning beauty of the real one. Between a stoic facade of granite and the fury of the canyon. Between deafness and the presence of breathtaking music. Between blindness and blinding beauty. It's why there's EarthShare, the simple way to find balance. EarthShare is the workplace giving program bringing the leading environmental groups under one umbrella. Support EarthShare, support them all. EarthShare. Please ask your employer about workplace giving. To learn more, please visit our website.
Can you tell which of these children was not born free? Can you tell which of these children was not born equal? Can you tell which of these children does not deserve to be treated with dignity? We can't either. Human right number one. We are all born free and equal. What are human rights? Find out at youthforhumanrights.org.
Okay, if you missed it, and you're just tuning in, we were talking about the hospitals and HMOs and the level of care. What I want to also bring up too, because it was really interesting, if you have Medi-Cal, Medicare, Medicaid, or any of those M's, keep them. Do not, especially if you have an illness that is ongoing. If you're an occasional, you go to the hospital to get physicals or checkups, that kind of thing, that's one thing. That's okay for HMO. But if you have a serious illness, if you have Medi-Cal or you have an HMO, just X the HMO, because the level of care, again, I cannot stress enough the level of care that you get. They are so limited in their diagnosis. They're just limited with, if they're not going to come in and give you the kind of information that you need. And even if they could give you the information, they cannot cover all the things that you need. So if you have diabetes or cancer or one of those serious type illnesses, then do not do, and if you have an HMO, my suggestion to you, I strongly encourage you to switch over to Medi-Cal, where you will have the freedom to go and deal with doctors that can actually get into what your situation is and how to address it. Because again, when you're dealing with HMOs, they're very limited. They're very limited in what they can do for you, very limited in what kind of information they can give to you. And as far as I can see, they're trying to get everyone, even my job is an HMO, and it's incredible. I fell about 3 years ago. I fell looking at a house and missed the step. And I went to the first hospital, and I wasn't here in Pasadena. I went to USC, and USC has great doctors, I'm told. I went there on a Friday, and I was there 30 hours. 30, not 3, 30 hours. I stayed there for about the first 10 hours just sitting. I left, went home, took a shower, ate some food, and came back, and they still hadn't called my name. And so when I really sat down and put it together, I had been there 30 hours. That's just crazy. That's insane. And that's an HMO. So I can't stress enough to you, just like I said, especially with our parents and our children that cannot speak for themselves, or our children that are older and are fragile, we need to step in. We need to make clear what their problem is. We need to make clear what the symptoms are. We need to be clear on what it is that we need to do to assist. Because what I found, I was at the hospital and the doctor told me, he says, "Oh, you don't have to keep coming and spending the night." And I said, "No, I realize that sometimes in the hospital, because there's so many patients, and sometimes when you have sick people, they can be demanding or be kind of challenging. So, I'm here to help change the beds or whatever I need to help do to help it make the job easier for you to take care of my daughter." And sometimes we have to do that for our loved ones when they do go into the hospital, because I don't think that I don't think they intentionally ignore the patients, but I do think that because they have a lot of patients to look after, and then there is sometimes a language barrier. I do remember at another hospital that Ariel was in, that there was a language barrier. I mean, we had a tough time just communicating, and it was very frustrating. So anyway, with that being said, I know you get my point. You understand what I'm saying, and just be safe. Just know that when your loved ones are in the hospital, that you do need to take that extra little mile to make sure that they're receiving the proper care and also that your instructions are being heard, and that their symptoms are not just textbook symptoms. And again, I can't stress enough, Huntington Hospital I was very, very pleased with their information that they gave me, their follow-up, even the information that they gave me as far as outside programs and outside places that she could go and possibly have some things done on the outside. And sometimes, you know, you don't get all of that little special care. So hats off to Huntington. They're definitely on the high wall, and I was very happy that I was sorry about the incident, but if she had to go to a hospital, Huntington Hospital was definitely, they have a great staff of doctors, and I can't thank the emergency doctor enough, Dr. David, and all the other doctors that assisted in Ariel's recovery. I was very, very pleased, and I cannot say enough about them. And hats off to Jane Hatterline. The hospital is beautiful. I don't know if she's still there at Huntington, but she was a great help for me with the nonprofit and exercising my nonprofit. And so I really am appreciative to Huntington and to Jane Hatterline. Always remember that you do have a purpose, you do have a destiny, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you for tuning in. I had a great time with you as usual, and I look forward to talking to you next week. We haven't hit the 5-minute mark yet. So
the critic, when she come into your place, yo, you best not forget it. She gon' tell you how it is, cause she's Rick the critic. When she all up in your city, yo, you best not forget it. Let you know if she like it, and if she get with it, let the whole world know and be the first to admit it. Let you know if she's good and if she dig it, cause she's Rick the critic. Rick the critic, Rick the critic, Rick the critic. She the first to admit it if she can't dig it, cause she's Rick the critic, 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 Rick the critic. Rick the critic, when she come into your place, yo, you best not forget it. She gon' tell you how it is, cause she's Rick the critic. When she all up in your city, yo, you best not forget it. Let you know if she like it and if she get with it.